You were probably taught that slavery began in America in 1619, and that's not quite true. And the story behind it explains why people are still fighting over this history in America and how it's taught 400 years later. I'm Sarah Beth Rosenberg. I've been teaching U.S. history for over 2 decades, and I explain the history behind the headlines. In August 1619, the White Lion arrived at Point Comfort in an English colony called Virginia. The ship was carrying more than 20 captive African men and women. These people were kidnapped from the kingdom of Ndongo, which is present-day Angola, were forced onto a Portuguese slave ship and then seized by English privateers. John Ralph, yes, the same John Ralph from Pocahontas, recorded their arrival, but enslaved Africans were already around in Spanish-controlled North America. When the Spanish founded St. Augustine, Florida, there were both free and enslaved Africans already living there. So what makes 1619 so important? It was the first documented arrival of captive Africans into an English colony. And by the way, the system of racial hereditary slavery, what we call race-based chattel slavery, didn't start on that particular day. It's something that was constructed over decades, written into law. More than 400 years later, certain people are still fighting over how that history, that very true history, is taught. In 2019, the 1619 Project was published in the New York Times, and they put slavery and the consequences of slavery at the center of the national debate about the American story. Politicians subsequently freaked out and tried to restrict the teaching of this. And the larger fight over what is taught in schools, what books are made available and read, continues. A PEN America report published in 2026 found that the share of banned book titles that were nonfiction books jumped from 14% to 29% in just one school year. More than 1,000 nonfiction titles were removed. And 14% of all banned books were history and biography books. Half of the titles deal with activism and social movements. So the lesson of 1619 isn't just about the beginning of slavery in America and in English colonies. It's about who gets to tell the American story, who gets to decide what kids learn about in school.